You're joining a message which is already in progress by Pastor William Whitfield, Senior Pastor of
So Jesus sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. Now I mentioned this between 11 and 12 p.m. The hours, if you really look at this, this is a significant hour, because during Jesus' crucifixion, the scriptures say that darkness covered the entire earth from the 6th hour until about the 9th hour. So although this is midday during this particular time, this was the hour of gross darkness for this particular situation. Although some people say that's midnight or later, the bewitching hour. But sometimes the hour of gross darkness is not predicated upon the hands on the clock, or whether the sun is shining or not, or whether the moon is shining or not, whether it's dark because of cloud cover or it's about to rain. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the hour of gross darkness. In this case, it was the hour of gross darkness, and we're about to see exactly why I stated it was the hour of gross darkness. In verse 7 it says, "There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water." Now, this spirit of darkness was hovering over not only the city, but over this woman. How many times have you seen that there is one key person that keeps things going on? They may not even understand that they are the key person. They might not even appear to be the key person. You may think that someone else is the key person, but sometimes it's the person that you don't suspect is the key person that can be the key person. And some of us in leadership and pastorate positions, we may think that sometimes we're not the key person, the key junk going on, and sometimes we truly are. It's just the bottom line. It's the harsh reality. Then some of us keep junk going because it's our nature. We think that we're doing God's service or we're doing justice to the situation, and we don't realize, as long as our hands and our mouths are on it and people are following our lead, that we are the problems. I was a part of a church once where the pastor, a female, was actually dealing with another female in the congregation and was getting ready to fist fight the woman, and laid the woman out, and came to church one Sunday and recorded on tape live that she was going to do that, and had to remove herself from the service for that day because she knew what was in her heart. Ultimately, she dealt with it. But initially, I watched that situation go on for more than a year. And it was horrible. Simply horrible. The pastor was the reason why it continued. So here, now Jesus at the well, here comes this woman of Samaria. She's coming to draw water, but the waters that she was coming to draw was the waters of dissatisfaction. The waters that could not fulfill, that could not cause contentment. It only caused discord and pain, frustration and anger, and some things in her life thinking that she needed when she really didn't, and she didn't care who or how she appropriated it or who or what it belonged to, but she felt it necessary to take a part of it because she felt an advantage in it, because it was something that gave her temporary satisfaction. And how many of you know that the waters of dissatisfaction will always give you a sense of false satisfaction? But that satisfaction is only temporal. It's never can give you the sustaining power that is necessary to bring in full contentment and satisfaction into your life. And Jesus knew that this spirit was hovering over her, and not only the city, but she was the key to winning and conquering the city for the gospel. I told you there was a military, spiritual military advantage to it. Which means that spiritual warfare is far more involved than what many of us think. Because some of us think that spiritual warfare is only the prayer that we render. But it's also the posture and the mobility and the situation that we take advantages of in the spirit. And sometimes God will ask you to do something that may seemingly be foolish or insignificant that has dynamic influences on what goes on in the realm of the spirit. It could be something as simple as go to a city being tired and just sit on a well. I remember years ago when I was running from the Lord, and I had a very best friend, still is my best friend, and she was actually had been in a sort of kind of a medical situation. And I actually went with her because she was in some pain, just to take her to a doctor's appointment. We were just really best friends. And I was still in the process of running, and she was trying to get me back in the church, which was her sole purpose for being in my life at that time. And while we were at the doctor's, this woman and the older couple was there. And eventually my friend was called to the back, and the woman's husband was called to the back, with leaving only the two of us in the waiting room. And a few minutes later, she started humming and wasn't paying any attention to me. I was reading a magazine, not paying attention to her. And she struck up a conversation. And the conversation was pretty pleasant, and to the point that she began to ask me, "Are you in church?" And I said, and I laughed and I said, I do believe, I do go to church, something along those lines. She started humming again. And then she said, "Okay, but when are you going to get back in church?" And I said, "Okay, here we go, God." And I said, "Okay, I'm in the process of going." So she said, and then she started humming again, didn't pay me attention for a few minutes there. And eventually she stopped and said, "Yeah, you need to hurry and get back to church, because God said he got a work for you to do and a ministry to do. And the longer you stay out, the harder it's going to be for you to get back," something along those lines. I can't recall the exact wording, but that's the legits of the conversation. So she had found me out just by sitting in a doctor's office, waiting for her spouse to be seen and finished. But yet she had a purpose for being there that day, not only to be with her husband, because he very well could have come by himself. He was very mobile, although they were an older couple. But part of the purposes was that she was there for her husband, but God had also sent a messenger unto me to let me know that he has not forgotten the purpose for which he had called me. And regardless of the devastation that had gone, that you have just come through, it doesn't mean that God loves you or wants you to accomplish what he wants you to do any less. And the thing is, sometimes we think because we've gone through devastating situations and done some wrong things and partied and coupled with people that aren't ours to be around, that God has tossed us to the side. But yet he has called us with a purpose that needs yet to be completed. And until your eyes close and you leave the face of this earth, unless you're in complete defiance and rebellion against God, then you will be taken without doing your work. But my desire is, before I close these eyes in death, that I would have accomplished, as I pray for you that are watching, that you will accomplish the will of the Lord for your life. So Jesus knew there was gross darkness hovering over this woman, and in this woman that was controlling her life and her appetites for what she was a party to. So he knew that she had drank from this well continuously, never receiving the source of satisfaction. Although many preachers will preach and say that she came to this well at this hour because it was the hottest hour of the day, and most decent people or people with wisdom didn't come out during this time of the day because of the sheer heat alone, but she came out because of her lifestyle and the embarrassment and the tauntings of those that would come to the well that knew her lifestyle, because many of them she had taken their husbands from them as a result of who she was. And Jesus, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat on the well. And it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. And Jesus said unto her, "Listen, give unto me drink." He wanted to see, he knew this water could not satisfy him, but the dual purpose is that he needed water to sustain his life. Although he was God in the flesh, he still needed it, but he also wanted to hear what her response was. Because he already knew the water was not going to bring complete contentment to his life, because his purpose was to do the will of the Father. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat, which is verse 8. Verse 9. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, you prejudiced Jews that don't want to have nothing to do with the Samaritans during this time, asketh drink of me? So that's what's going on in this picture while she's responding the way that she's responding. Which am a woman of Samaria. For the Jews had no dealings with the Samaritan. And Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me drink, thou wouldest asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. See, you're not drinking living water. You're drinking natural water, yes, and it does give a certain degree of life to your body, but it's not satisfying you. And because it's not satisfying you, you keep going back to the same dead wells over and over again. Metaphorically, he's talking about the men that she was with. Her insatiable desires that could not be fulfilled by them, but yet there was continual aggression towards repeatedly coming there, thinking that she would receive some form of satisfaction by the act of physical intimacy, feeling loved and embraced and touched and caressed and in the throes of love, so to speak. But yet dealing with someone that she did not have a lifetime commitment with, nor were in a position where they could even render a lifetime commitment, because they themselves were already in a committed relationships with women that they're now disrespecting by their actions of relationships with this woman, which caused the atmosphere to be intense in this city, to so much so hate this woman, despise their husbands, and even think that any time that they would go out, that they were on a course to this woman's house. Now, the scripture doesn't call her prostitutes, which means she was doing this of her own will, and the benefit of it was just feeling as though there was some form of satisfaction. So she was an adulteress by nature. And Jesus knew this. He did not cast her out. This is him saying, this is time that now you got to let this spirit go and this lifestyle go, and the city needs to lose its view of you, and this whole city now needs to come to a new position in him. So he said, Give to me to drink, thou wouldest, let me go back. And who it is that said to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living waters. This is the water of satisfaction, contentment. It's alive, it's living, and it's the water that gives freedom from dissatisfaction perpetually. This is the water that releases and washes and cleanses you from the spirit of gross darkness and any sin that has come and coupled and entangled you to itself, because it has not been washed away with the living waters. It's been washed temporarily with the waters of a stagnated well, which only washed away the scent of it, but it did not wash away the desire of it. And the only thing that this water could do was wash her inward system and cleanse her body of the smell and the stench of the men whom she had laid with previously. But it did not wash or take away the desire on the inside of her to have it. And what Jesus was saying, this living water will become alive in you, springing up to set the standard for your life, so that you will not seek fulfillment in frivolous things anymore.